Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with serial entrepreneur, realtor, and podcast host. He is deeply passionate about helping other like-minded individuals achieve a life of abundance. Through the power of the mind and social media, John is empowering others to obtain financial freedom and build their lives the way they've always dreamed of living. John's ongoing mission is to enlighten his audience and enable them to achieve financial independence. He's got a great story. Enjoy this interview.
Cool, man. Well, hey, thank you for taking a minute out to the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So before we get into your life as, get your Walk to Wealth podcast and kind of everything that goes into who you are, the last 3 years with COVID's been quite a thing we've all lived through. And I'm curious how you survived that time period and how it's changed the way that you live life now.
For me, the pandemic was the best time of my life because it allowed me to break free from the mental trap we're kind of force-fed in terms of like living the traditional path. And it opened my eyes to entrepreneurship. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and from there, I had an epiphany and realized that this stuff of entrepreneurship, business, living wealthy, investing, things like that, wasn't being taught in school, wasn't being taught in my environment, wasn't being taught at home. And I'm a curious person, so I just jumped right into it and really started diving down the rabbit hole of learning about all this stuff, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading books, things like that. And from there, my spring semester of college, it was this is now spring 2021. It was middle of the pandemic. Everything's still at an all-time high. And I was like, well, with the whole world being uncertain, the only thing I was certain of was myself. So I decided to drop out of college. I signed up for my real estate courses, and I never looked back. And that's how I kind of made my break into this entrepreneur/real estate space. And I've just been running ever since.
So let's get a handle on exactly what you do day to day. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. And one of the kids looks up and says, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
Yeah, I'm telling them I'm a podcast host. That's the super simple answer. And that's what I am working on right now in terms of like really getting in front of or getting that built up is I'm a podcast host and I help other young people build a wealthy, abundant life. That's how they explain it to a third grader.
So when you were in the third grade, what was your dream to grow up and become?
Can't say that I had one. Can't say.
What's that? I couldn't understand. What's that?
Oh, sorry. I can't say that I had one.
Okay, all right, I got you. All right, well, let's kind of go back into your life. Tell me a little bit about where you were born and raised and where some of these seeds, the entrepreneur seeds and, your podcasting seeds, how did these things get sprinkled and start growing into who you are now? Yeah,
definitely. So I grew up in the projects. There was 9 of us in a 2-bedroom. My mother suffered from mental health issues, so me and her never really got along growing up because it's hard to understand those things as a kid. And my father was absent. So my grandparents on my Dominican side, they were the ones that had custody over me. They're the ones who raised me. And for me, growing up in the projects, money was always tight. We had Section 8. We had food stamps, government assistance. So that was my life in a nutshell. Very, as I said, poverty-ridden. As a kid, you don't know what you don't know. So for me, I was always a super happy, super smiley kid. I was always super positive. I never seen it as we lacked. Just that's how life was. So I didn't have anything to compare it to. So it wasn't like I was suffering. I mean, as I grew up, I realized that I definitely missed out on a lot more than I probably should have. But that's neither here nor there because it's not like I can go back and change anything. And even if I could, I wouldn't. So that's kind of how was my upbringing really. And growing up, I was always super curious, super open-minded, not having a role model. It allowed me to kind of become a giant melting pot of different perspectives and different viewpoints because I would take the good parts of people and try to implement that into my life, and the parts that I didn't think were as good or I thought were bad, I would leave them out. And that's kind of how I went around navigating the world at that age. And growing up, I continued to do so. It allowed me to gain a lot of perspective, allowed me to stay very open-minded and just be always a student for learning. And then around the time around high school, I can't say that I know the time, I realized that I didn't want to retire at 65. Don't know really what it was. I was like, I'm going to retire at 40 or whatever, and just to have a number less than 65. And that comes from my competitive nature. I always played sports growing up, so football and basketball were my main two. And then from there, around, I say business, entrepreneurship kind of got introduced into my life during my sophomore year of high school when I took a personal finance class. And that's kind of where I kind of got, the only thing I honestly remember from that class is that we had a thing where we had to budget. It was like part of our project for our final. And we had this one software we had to go in and manage bills and stuff like that. And it's like a simulation. And that was my first experience with personal finance. And then around that same time, I also had an entrepreneurship class. And we would watch Shark Tank. So that's where it kind of developed. But I wasn't selling candy bars. I didn't have the paper route. I wasn't selling sneakers. Didn't have the lemonade stand. I wasn't your typical entrepreneur growing up at all whatsoever. And then, as I said, around sophomore year of college now, fast forward a little bit, that's when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's when I kind of had the epiphany and dove into this entrepreneurship space. In terms of the podcast, though, it all started from an idea that my friend said, hey, we should start one. And I was like, hey, you know what? That would be a good idea. Around this time, I had already dropped out of college. I was working close to 70 hours, and I was studying for my real estate exam. I already passed the class, and he ended up going back to college, so our schedules didn't match up anymore. So I still wanted to move forward with it because I knew I wanted to have a medium where I could document my journey and also share the lessons that I'm learning from the cool people that I was able to meet in real estate and the real estate investor meetups that I've gone to. So I was like, okay, I'll do this podcasting. I'll figure it out and do it myself for the time being. And after 4 months of procrastinating, I finally came up with the name Walk to Wealth, and the whole story behind the name is for the 99% of us that aren't overnight sensations, it's a long walk to wealth. And some may walk faster than others, but what good is sprinting to the finish line if you pass out when you cross it?
So I'm curious, with the world waking up, with your ambition pretty peaked, I'm curious, if we have a discussion in 5 years, what are you hoping happens? What are you hoping to see transpire?
Yeah, in 5 years, by then, I'll have easily a top 10 business/entrepreneur podcast. I'll be public speaking, spreading my message across more stages, and just helping other young people kind of break free from the trap. I grew up in the city, so there's tons of people I knew growing up that didn't want to take the traditional path, that didn't want to go to school to work for a corporate 9 to 5 their whole life. And so it's like really helping those students and those young people that were kind of similar to me that knew that, hey, this is not the track I want to hop on, that, hey, there's another world out there that you could dive into that isn't being really taught. And who knows, by then maybe it'll probably be a little bit more mainstream. I feel like it's starting to get a lot more mainstream already. But in the school system, it's not really as mainstream. So just spreading that message, spreading my story, my testimonial, hopefully inspiring and educating other people along the way. I shared the dark side of entrepreneurship, as a lot of people have, like, it's the flashy cars and the clothes and the jewelry and all that stuff. And it's a lot of negative sides that come with entrepreneurship and owning a business. So sharing those stories as well, so that people have more of a holistic picture of this. And for those that, as I said, want to continue, it just happen then, get it going, get that rolling. In 5 years, I also definitely by then I'll probably have I will have multiple investment properties. I'm not sure. Around that time, I may dive into like real estate syndication investing as well. And as I said, so really having the real estate, whether it's through Airbnbs and syndications, that's kind of like building up passive income passively, and then spreading my message and sharing my testimonial and my journey in schools across the country and the world, really.
So if you can be one person alive on the planet right now, who would it be?
If I could be myself, I wouldn't want to be anyone else.
No, if you could talk to somebody on the planet, meet and talk to one person alive on the planet right now, who would it be?
If I could meet one person right now, it'd be Gary Keller. Like, my goal is to get him on the podcast. So that would probably be the one person that I would meet right now. His journey of how he got into real estate and kind of just took that into this amazing company we call Keller Williams, because that's also where I held my real estate license. And I've been able to learn a lot of very useful, ideas and mindset shifts and paradigm shifts and stuff like that and meet some super amazing people. And he's also someone that has achieved a level of success that most people can only dream of. So that would probably be the person.
So what motivates you every day? Every day you wake up and you have all these things that you want to do with your life. What's the ultimate motivator for you?
It's something that's hard to put into words. I think you would probably understand, though, this entrepreneur bug. It's something that you can't turn off. It's something that's always spinning in the back of your head, something that's always eating away at you. So there's that. And then, two, really just, I think one of the most selfish things you can do is live a long life and not share the experience and the lessons that you've gone in. You know, for me, it's in the simplest terms, I think if you could leave the world a better place than when you first entered, I think it is something that we should all strive for personally. But there was a quote in 12th grade, and my English teacher, he would always go on random philosophical tangents. And one day we were talking about Plato's allegory of the cave, and he mentioned that the duty of the enlightened is to enlighten the unenlightened. And ever since I heard that quote, it's been my core philosophy that I've been trying to live my life by. It's just, as soon as I learn, as soon as I grow, it's just how can I help others learn and grow as well.
So everyone out there has an idea of who they think you are, a perception of you, your family, your friends, your listeners, clients,
Yeah.
but ultimately you live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm someone that is super energetic, super hyper optimist, contagious optimism. Like, my goal is I don't want someone to be able to walk away from a conversation with me without thinking that they could conquer the world and do everything they dreamed of. I'm someone that is very wise, someone that is very understanding, open-minded, always a sucker for a good conversation. I'm someone that is very creative, almost to my own detriment at times, especially last year. I'm an idea person. I come up with ideas like it's nothing. And I get distracted sometimes with that. I get shiny object syndrome. I'm someone that is a work in progress. I'm someone that's constantly striving for more, striving for better, striving to improve. And I'm someone that wants to help others and wants to guide others, not because I'm the expert, not because I know it all, but because of the old African adage that you want to go fast, go alone, want to go far, go together, and just helping you rise the tide for everyone so that all the ships can raise.
So, John, if anyone out there wants to listen to your podcast, learn more about you, hire you, anything along those lines, where can they go?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of listening to the podcast, www.walk2wealth.com, so walk2wealth.com. That's where you can check out the podcast. That's where you can listen to any and all of the episodes that I've dropped. In terms of working for me, I help real estate professionals and entrepreneurs help build their online presence. My website is down right now, but for anyone that wants to catch my last replay that I taught a course on how to leverage AI to boost your online presence. You could go to stopandstare.media/ChatGPT replay, and there you can catch the replay. The website is going to be stopandstare.media, but it's down right now because I recently switched to Kajabi. So that's working up right now. I'm working on getting that up, but catch the replay at stopandstare.media/ChatGPT replay.
John, hey, man, thank you for opening up. Thanks. It's wonderful. I can feel the ambition. Keep on doing the good things you're doing, and good luck with everything, man.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, man, for the opportunity.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, and music from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.